Hi. Hope you got a clear understanding about several phases, several terminologies regarding data modeling. Now we will discuss some of the very common interview questions which you may come across in data modeling interviews, or maybe sometimes you may come across this in a data architecture interview or data engineering interview as well. So the first question is, what is the difference between the data warehouse and the data lake? So the answer will be data warehouse is having data warehouse has more cleansed, aggregated, transformed data. Which are basically structured and unified to support a specific business needs or the specific business intelligent dashboards. So in data warehouse, you are not having raw data. And when you are building the data warehouse, you already know what are your business needs. So it is having only the structured, transformed, cleansed, business aggregated data. Now coming to data lake holds the organization level raw data which are unstructured, and several business teams comes into data lake. They access the data lake's data and apply their own business rules, own business logic to get their insights. So now you may ask a question like, in that case, why do we need data lake? Because data lake is having raw unstructured data, so the business teams have to perform all the transformations, right? So then why we need that? We can go ahead with data warehouse only, because anyway we are applying all those logics, right? But the reason is, when you have a very defined business needs, that you are supporting this business intelligent dashboards, and you know what are the business processes you have to do, what are your sources, what are the lookup sources, and what are the business needs, everything you know, what are the rules, everything you know. And it is not like you have, it might be changed in a very short span, so it is not very agile. In those cases, you should go ahead with the data warehouse architecture. And in the cases where when you are starting, you are not sure about what will be my business cases, or you are sure about some of them but not all of them, and your system may grow up, you may have some more needs, and you need to store all the data for the organization, not only the cleansed and transformed data. So then you will go ahead with the data lake architecture. Now, the second question, very similar to this, is what is the difference between ELT and ETL process? So, there is a huge list of it. You can get it in any website in internet. But the main context, it is going back to data warehouse and data lake kind of concepts. Like, ETL is extraction, transformation, loading. So you are extracting, and then you are putting all this business logics, transformations, segregations, all of these things, and then finally you are loading. So your target will have the clean, transformed, aggregated data, the structured data basically, which is basically structured or unified for a particular, to support particular business needs. So in those cases, you will use ETL. But in the cases when you have, again, a agile environment, and you are not very sure what kind of business logics you need to perform, or you are sure of some of them, but some others may come, something like that. So in that case, you will be first extracting the data, loading it somewhere, and then the specific business teams will come, they will apply their own transformation and take it forward. So basically, ideally, an ETL process will load into a data warehouse, and a ELT process will basically load into a data lake. Now, coming to the third question, this is very important for any data modeling interview basically. So they will be asking you, how to resolve a many-to-many relationship. Now you have to give an example and then explain how you can resolve this. So first of all, what is a many-to-many relationship? A many-to-many relationship is when you have, like, maybe I'm talking with two entities. When you have two entities, This entity can also have a many-to-many relation. This entity can also have multiple occurrences in this entity, and this entity for a particular key that also have a multiple occurrence in the other entity. So, like, if I give you an example, like the student and teacher entity you have. Now, one student may have multiple teachers. For one student ID, you may have multiple teachers, multiple teacher IDs, right? And for one teacher, that teacher may be teaching multiple students. So for one teacher ID, there will be multiple student IDs. So it is a many-to-many relationship. Now, when you are modeling a data model, many to many relationships are very difficult to work with. When you have this ETLs and this further stored procedures and all. So we try to resolve it. And how we resolve it? We introduce a associative entity in between. An associative entity is basically nothing but the relationship between them. So that student table is there, teacher table is there. Now we have defined the associative entity which will have the student ID and the teacher ID, and maybe we can also have the duration, like which duration to which duration that student was taught by that teacher, something like that. So basically this is a relation. This is not an independent entity, but a relationship is treated as an entity to resolve the many to many relationship, and now it will be many to one from both sides. Like for one particular student ID, there will be multiple occurrences in the associative entity in the student teacher relationship table, but for one occurrence of that particular table's row, student teacher relation, there will be only one occurrence in the student table, and the same with the teacher table and the student teacher relationship. So the many to many relationship of student and teacher entity is resolved to student teacher relation and teacher, and both side it is becoming many to one. So now if I talk about ER diagram, it is basically denoted by kind of a diagonal basically, or a barfi kind of a thing, like this one.